The Cyhawk Trophy is on the line Saturday, and this matchup has the juice. I promise, guys, that's my only Corn Kid joke for this segment. I get one, but let's talk about the game. It's going down at 4 o'clock on the Big Ten Network. So let's welcome in two guys who know a lot about this one. Nick Osen from Cyclone Alert and David Eickholt from Hawkeye Insider. And guys, most of the time when you watch an Iowa offense, you're left wanting more, so we don't need to dig too deep into that, but we're keeping an eye out for this turnover battle. Iowa has a +9 turnover differential over the past 6 games in this rivalry. So David, how crucial is keeping that streak alive?
Yeah, Emily, it's huge. I think when you look at this Iowa offense, as you mentioned, you're left wanting more. But Iowa excels against Iowa State for a couple of reasons. They don't shoot themselves in the foot, and they wait for Iowa State to make a mistake. I think when you look at the highlights over the past couple of meetings against them, Iowa State just finds different ways to lose this game. And, you know, it being an in-state rivalry, there's a lot of key playmakers for Iowa that really relish in getting these sort of opportunities. I see Jack Campbell there, Iowa's highly touted leader on defense, preseason All-American, taking it in there. But, you know, Iowa's lack of explosive playmakers, Iowa just needs to find a way to protect the football and hope that Torrey Taylor can pin the Cyclone offense back deep and Iowa's defense can take advantage of it. And if they can do those things, I do think that Iowa has a chance. But, you know, Spencer Petras and a quarterback rating of 1.1 and lack of explosive playmakers, it's going to be a tall task against the Cyclone defense.
Yeah, I really like David's point, not only kind of the domination from Iowa in this turnover battle, but that's something that the Cyclones are well aware of. Safety Anthony Johnson was asked about it this week, and he kind of made that a very quick, shortened response, basically knowing we as the Cyclone defense, they know that that's been an issue. They need to fix that on their end. And for the Iowa State offense, obviously Hunter Deckers is now under center, threw an interception in week 1, but otherwise did a lot of good things. It's a new regime in terms of quarterback, running back, a lot of new faces, but I think there are also a lot of positives to take in terms of that. And as long as there's that execution and consistency, I think this turnover battle will be a little closer than it's been in the last few seasons, which should give the Cyclones a great chance for a victory at Kinnick.
Unfortunately, guys, it's part of the game, and week 1 brought a few injuries to both of these squads. Nick, Hunter Deckers was spectacular in week 1, a little bit higher QBR than 1.1. But Iowa State needs to establish a run game against Iowa, and that's going to be tough given some of those injuries.
Yeah, so the big one there in the Iowa State run game is true freshman Cartavius Norton. There's been a lot of buzz from him really since March and April, and he got a few good carries in week 1, showed kind of a lot of the juice, but he is quote-unquote doubtful according to Matt Campbell. I would not expect to see him in Iowa City. And then, as you can see there, Jake Remsburg. Now, Campbell kind of loosely alluded to Remsburg being at practice this week. I would be a little surprised to see him in action, but right tackle Grant Schreiber has done a nice job in his absence. And at tailback, Iowa State still has Jyrell Brock, Eli Sanders, and actually Deion Silas, who was maybe like the 4th guy there, and he actually scored a touchdown in week 1. So there's still some great depth in those spots, especially at running back, where it might not be a do-or-die situation for the Cyclones against Iowa this week.
Yeah, you know, I think the training room at the University of Iowa is pretty filled right now. I mean, it's been an offseason full of injuries, and week 1 certainly didn't help. So linebacker Justin Jacobs, who I think is the top 3 NFL draft prospect, he's going to be out after injuring lower leg injury against South Dakota State. As you see, Jamari Harris, starting cornerback, is still beaten up. Deontay Vines, who is a really showed out during fall camp, he's going to be out. Keegan Johnson, who I think is Iowa's biggest playmaker, is going to be out. And Yahweh Black, who is a rotational defensive tackle. But I think we will see more of true freshman Aaron Graves, who was the Max Prep National Athlete of the Year. I think he can really do some crazy athletic things. And, you know, Kirk Ferentz alluded to, he belongs on the field with the older guys. Another wide receiver injury as well that people need to be aware of is Nico Reganey. He's kind of the quote-unquote grandpa of the room. He's been around the block, and I think he's Iowa's probably most consistent possession receiver. So Iowa's only going to have 2 scholarship wide receivers available against Iowa State. So, again, for Iowa wanting to get the running game going and the passing game going, you know, if I'm Iowa State, I stack the box and make Iowa earn every single yard.
Certainly, guys, in two very different quarterback situations. We have mentioned that. The differences are pretty obvious, but Nick, we'll start here with you. Where do you need to see growth from Hunter Decker's week 1 to week 2?
So, yeah, like I said, I think he played a really smooth, complete game week 1. I would just like to continue to see kind of that buildup of accuracy, especially in that short to intermediate game. Like I said, he did throw that interception, didn't have a ton of incompletions, but is kind of known for that deep ball, his strength down the field. And against Iowa, as David alluded to earlier, an impressive, talented defense. They're really going to try to make things difficult, especially with some of the stars they have in the secondary. Deckers needs to bring it. Now, I was impressed with how quick and smooth his release was in week 1, but this is going to be a much bigger test against the Hawkeyes, led by truly some of the best corners and safeties really in the country, certainly the Big Ten Conference. I think Deckers is up for the challenge. He doesn't seem to be someone that gets a lot of butterflies, even though he's new to starting, even though he's an Iowa kid in this rivalry. But as long as you can keep that intermediate game really going between Xavier Hutchinson, Jalen Knoll, who made some catches but didn't quite get a lot of yards from them, I think Deckers should have a good game. He's confident, he's been accurate, and he has all the tools to make some noise in Iowa City this week.
Yeah, I mean, I think I could fill up an entire half-hour show talking about where Iowa's offense and quarterback play could improve. Going off 1.1 quarterback rating last week, it did get to a point where the offensive line wasn't good. As I mentioned earlier, they only got a little over a yard per carry. Their pass protection was being broken down, a lot of new faces there. But there were probably 8 throws that I saw that are just inexcusable from a Power 5 quarterback. This is a 5th-year quarterback. It's his 3rd year starting. And the second you see Petrus begin to aim his passes, or any quarterback begin to aim their passes, they're in trouble. So I think Iowa needs to get the ball to Sam Laporta, who only had 2 catches for 9 yards. I think he's the Big Ten's best tight end, probably a top 2-round NFL draft prospect. They need to get the ball to Arlen Bruce, and then getting Gavin Williams back in the running back room just to sort of try to get anything going offensively. And I think all the gloves need to be off. Brian Ferentz needs to unveil his whole playbook. He needs to go from 3 plays to maybe 4 or 5 plays. They need to let all the cannons loose against this Iowa State team if they want to escape with a win.
Certainly hoping for more points and fewer boos at Kinnick Stadium this weekend. Guys, thank you so much. Be sure to keep it locked in all season long on Cyclone Alert and Hawkeye Insider, and check out their coverage of this rivalry.